วิทยากรท่านต่อไปคุณเองเซงเตียวปัจจุบันท่านดำรงตำแหน่ง Regional Sales Director ประจำบริษัท Triforce Global Solution ค่ะซึ่งมีประสบการณ์ในด้านการให้คำปรึกษาแก่องค์กรทั้งในประเทศและระดับภูมิภาคในการวางระบบบัญชีการเงินและ ERP เพื่อเพิ่มประสิทธิภาพและลดขั้นตอนการทำงานค่ะขอเรียนเชิญคุณเองเซงเตียวนะคะ Now let's move to the next speaker. May I invite Kun Eng Seng Teoh to present the next topic, please?
Hi. Good morning. Can you see my slide on the screen?
Yes, I can see ค่ะ
Okay, thank you very much. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's sessions. Before I kickstart, perhaps I would like to turn off the video first to have perhaps a better performance. So just let me stop the video. So my name is Teoh, and I am the Regional Sales Director at the Triforce. And I have spent more than 15 years in the finance operation and the process automations. And today, I would like to share with all of you about the key principle and the best practices for the expense management. I believe many of you have already read the book by Stephen Covey, Seven Habits of the Highly Effective People. So I would like to share about the 7 key best practices for the expense management and also how to leverage on the technology, the digital transformations to automate your processes for the expenses reimbursement. So first of all, one of the key best practices is how you can automate the time-consuming process. The industry has already shared currently more than 40% of the industry is still using a manual process when it comes to expense management. But the automations in terms of from using the technology not only will help you to eliminate all the manual process, but also to give you a more accurate report to compliance to your policy and also to help you to achieve a cost reduction. Second best practices that we are talking about here is about what we call the support the revenue generation. We have seen that many of the company, when it comes to the admin expense, many of them do not track it with their revenue generation. So in the industry today, it shows that about 46% not tracking their associated costs to their expenses. So I believe for every of the company expense, many are associated to your sales, associated to your project, and you would like to know how is your sales or how is your project performs in terms of their revenue generation for your company. So if you are having the automation, it will help you to be able to so-called to show and record all this information with your appropriate supplier, and you will be able to analyze how all these expenses related to your cost actually. So I would like to move on here why it is important for the company to track and manage the employee expenses. So first of all, the company can take full advantage of your tax reduction by having all the expenses document related to all the tax, having it at the right time. it will help your finance to be able to present all this report to the tax authority or the inland revenue in order for the company to take advantage of the tax reduction. Second, it is also important that for the finance department to be able to understand how all these expenses are reflected according to your budgeting and your forecasting. The travel and expense is one of the large portion of the company operating budget. So with the ability to track that for your finance department, it will help your finance and your company to accurately budget and forecast for the future as well. Third is about manage all the expenditure, because when it comes to the sales, many of the employee, they are on the road. For the customer company point of view, you will also want to know what are all the expenses in order to plan for your cash flow effectively. So having the tracking of all these expenses will also help the company to look into the cash flow and to have a better control on all these expenses. Number 4 is about fraud. Today, it showed that in the industry, it showed that about 13% from a large organization and 20% of a small medium enterprise still reported fraudulent expenses reimbursement. So by having an effective track of the expenses, it will also help the company to be able to analyze where are all these fraudulent expenses coming from actually. So I will quickly go through 7 of the best practices that a company can adopt in order to plan for all your expense management. So number 1 is about clearly define your policy, your expense policy. Make it clear to the employee what can be reimbursed, what cannot be reimbursed, and to communicate all these policy to the employee according to their role, according to their entitlements, what they are allowed to claim and what they are not allowed to claim, basically. Make the policy clear to the employee. The second best practice is to have a well-defined report program. Okay, so you would like to be able to clearly define what are all the expenses type that will be able to claim according to the company guideline and the company policy. And make sure that all these expenses are associated with the business. And the reimbursement is only allowed it to happen for the employee during when they are performing their duty, basically. So this is how you need to define your expense report program as one of the best practices. Number 3 best practices is make it clear and simple. Okay, I have seen many companies have a very complex, sophisticated kind of a workflow where certain type of the expenses, it has to go for the HR approval, certain type must go to a different department or different authority. Some of these workflow processes, perhaps the company must take a look how to streamline it, because some of these mechanism about the approval can be quite time consuming actually. So I would suggest the company to take a look into all their complex processes and to streamline it basically. Number 4 is about keep it short. Allow the company, the employee to know, perhaps like certain amount below, example, like below maybe 200 bahts, they don't have to produce the receipt. Make it easy for the employee in order not to ask them for too much of the comprehensive detail. Ask only the relevant detail that is related that will help the company. For example, if the employee travel to overseas, perhaps maybe for certain tax, there will be certain tax reduction rebate. So you might just want the employee to break down the detail, like, you know, example, like if they stay in the hotel, how much is the rate, the room rate, how much is the tax, how much whether it include the breakfast or not include the breakfast. Just a simple breakdown and to leverage on all this information for the company benefit. Number 3 is important is to allow this system to integrate to your back-end financial in order for the company to be able to track all these expense report effectively. Okay, so this is how one of the principles to keep it short. Number 5 is to be able to work out the timeline for the employee to submit the expenses claim on time and to make it easy for them to submit the expenses claim. Well, we always know that the manual and a paper kind of expense report is going to create a lot of tedious process and operation to the finance team. You imagine if your company got 500 employees, and if 300 employees have expenses claim every month, and 300 employees send 300 paper expenses report to the finance team, or they are sending 300 Excel file to the finance team. And just imagine each Excel file consists of 10 items. You can imagine how much tedious work is creating to your finance team actually. Okay, so make it easy by having the automation, by allowing the scanning of all the receipt, tag it to the expenses claim, and then go for the workflow so that it will be able to make the finance team or the manager who are doing the approval to be able to view the information easily. And of course, today technology, you can use a mobile apps. The expense management solution come with the mobile apps to take a snapshot of your receipt, attach it, and then send it for the approval, basically. And you will be able to achieve paperless, and you are also to be more environmental friendly. The next one, the best practices is about on-time payment for the employee, because employee, a lot of time when the employee travel, the employee is just like a bank to the company where they might have to spend first and then they will claim it later. So to be fair to the employee, of course, you would like to be able to allow the employee to claim their expenses on time. That's why the policy to define when they have to submit, when their expenses claim have to be approved, so that they will be able to get their expenses reimbursement back at the end of the month together with their salary, for example. So make the payment on time mechanism, and that is also to allow the company to be able to plan for your cash flow as well. So look into the timetable for the what need to be done, make it clear to the employee when they have to submit all their expenses. Like maybe you can set like every month before 22nd of the month, something like that. The next is about best practices is to achieve your automation so that you can have all this back-end integration, digital receipt, all to be captured and then consolidate and to give the hassle-free process to the employee to use. So it's to implement XM solutions, cloud-based, so that the employee will be able to submit all their claim, sending all their claim anywhere, anytime, when they have time to file for their reimbursement. Again, and with the automated solution, you will be able to integrate with your back-end financial system for the company to be able to track it timely. And most of the expense management solutions today also come with the very easy to use feature and also with the workflow for the company to be able to handle all these business expenses fast and effectively. So here is showing you some of the pain point where the company administrator, it could be your finance team, it could be the person who are taking care of the reimbursement processes within the organization. It shows that for the department or the administrator who are taking care of all these responsible for the expense management solutions, they always feel that the employee is like, do not submit the proper receipt, lack of the receipt, they do not submit on time. So this is a statistic has been collected by the in the market survey, showing the pain point faced in the organizations. Just now, I have also shared that about 43%, based on today last year report, it showed that about 43% of the companies still using a manual process, basically either using a paper form or using the Excel. And in terms of the fraudulent expenses reimbursement is still happening today, average about 13% within the large organization and 20% within the small medium enterprise. Here is to show you the advantages of automate your expenses claim, because if you are going to do the expenses report manually, on average, it will cost you $20 over to process one expense report. But by doing fully automated, it will help the company to achieve, not only achieving in terms of the labor costs, the so-called the paper and some others related costs to the expenses claim, and it is fully automated, will be able to help you to do having a lot of saving actually. And a quick introduction to you about the info expense management, where it come with the capability to allow you to set your policy, to allow you to do your reporting, dashboard and analysis, to allow you to set the budget control within your reimbursement, and with the admin tool and also with the mobile apps to allow the user to easily use the system anywhere, anytime, or through their mobile. So Info do have the expense management that able to support your full automation, and it is from the end-to-end capability. So this is the advantages of the info expense management, not only to allow you to manage your process, to integrate with your back-end financial system. Maybe you might want to integrate to your payroll system and etc. And it is a low cost of ownership of the system. to allow you to achieve the cost efficiency and to allow you to be able to have a visibility of control over all your spending. Here to show you the return on investment by doing the automation on your expense management. On average, you will be able to achieve your ROI in less than a year by implementing the expense management solutions to automate all your reimbursement process. So I would encourage the company to take a look into that. Maybe you might be telling me that, oh, Mr. Teoh, my company is only having like 50, 60 people. Is it going to be cost effective for me to do it full automation? Well, the answer is always yes. And we will be glad if you would like to do some of this exercise. We will be glad to participate and to show you the system and to perhaps to do the cost analysis with you, how you can achieve your ROI. Here is some of the customer where they see the great improvement. For example, the London Business School, they see the processing time reduced by 70%. And that will help to make the finance people and all the relevant department to be more happy in terms of reducing their workload and to have a better kind of easy working environment so that they don't have to do all the tedious work when it comes to the processing. And Thomson Reuters is one of the largest reporting company, news, provide the news content. They also see the decrease of the time spending by the employee by over 50% actually. So here showing you a list of the customer, for example, like St. Luke Hospital, GSK, one of the world's biggest pharmaceutical company, Boston Consulting Group, Covidien, one of the world's largest medical equipment supplier, and also Mitsubishi Electric is also using the expense management to do all the tracking of their expenses. So here I will end my presentation today. And if there is any question, we can take the questions later during the Q&A session. Hand over to you, Kun Pop.
ค่ะขอบคุณมิสเตอร์เองเซงเตียวนะคะประเด็นน่าสนใจที่ทางคุณเตียวได้นำเสนอไปคือแนวทางการจัดการด้านค่าใช้จ่ายหรือ expense management เช่นการทำให้เป็นออโตเมตมากขึ้นเพื่อลดข้อผิดพลาดการจัดการค่าใช้จ่ายในองค์กรที่ดีจะทำให้สามารถจัดการภาษีได้อย่างเต็มที่ลดการทุจริตในองค์กรและท่านสามารถนำข้อมูลค่าใช้จ่ายในอดีตไปวางแผนงบประมาณได้อย่างมีประสิทธิภาพค่ะนอกจากทำให้การจัดการให้เป็นออโตเมตแล้วก็ควรจะให้เป็น workflow ที่ง่ายพนักงานสามารถเข้าใจแล้วทำการเบิกได้ตรงเวลาค่ะ anywhere anytime เป็นระบบที่เชื่อมต่อกับระบบบัญชีหลังบ้านของท่านอย่าลืมนะคะท่านใดที่มีคำถามสามารถส่งคำถามมาได้ทางแชท Q&A ซึ่งทางทีมงานของเราจะทยอยตอบให้ต่อไปค่ะ